What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another exciting episode of The Real Deal. Let's get it. Welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with a new episode. This is the Q&A segment of the show, a new episode, a special episode, I should say, answering fans' questions. And a lot of good questions were sent, so you can get into the live chat as well. But again, thank you for tuning in. I can't thank you guys enough. It is May 25th. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone that gets to enjoy some time with their family and friends, cookouts, all those things, barbecues and everything too. Having a low-key Memorial Day weekend this year. Had family in town last weekend, and it was great. So we kind of did our little our celebration for Memorial Day last week. So it's just going to be me and my wife this week. We just gonna, like I said, just chill, just us two, and just to get some rest and just enjoy each other. So, but you can follow the show on all podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Spreaker.com as well. You can also follow it on all social media platforms, whether it's YouTube, the Roku channel, BS3 TV, Roku. Download the app there. And you could Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me there. Follow the show there at Get the Real Deal on Twitter. Also on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Instagram Live today as well. So thank everyone that's tuning in on Instagram Live. Again, this is the Real Deal Podcast Q&A, question and answer, questions from the fans. I'm very, very excited to answer questions related to sports, news, entertainment, sports media, everything we talk about. So again, I can't thank you guys enough for the questions. A lot of great questions have been already sent in. And and then also you can, like I said, you can send it in the chat as well. But that's all the intro. Again, download the app BS3 TV, Roku on Roku. We are on Roku, and then BS3TVLive.com is where you can get all of the episodes of the BS3 network. Shout out to the entire network. So many great shows there. We got a little bit of everything, like I said, entertainment, sports, news, and a little bit of everything. So again, download the app, download the network in itself on BS3 TV on the Roku channel. All right, well, let's get into this Q&A. And as I said, if you got any questions in the chat, or you got any questions on Instagram Live, YouTube, Facebook, hit me up. I'm here to answer the fans' questions. So hit me there. So, but I got some questions that came in throughout the week. Got about 10. So I'm gonna try to answer all these. And there was a lot of great questions. So let's start here. I want to start with some of the questions that my man from the NR Hour Network, NR Hour Show podcast himself, Nithin Ramasandra. Thank you for sending a couple of questions. And I'm going to loop these in because they're a couple of the same questions. And also Brian Snow from Snowman in the Morning, he is part of the BS3 network. He sent in some questions, and it was all mostly regarding WNBA, which this WNBA season has been 2 weeks in. And but before I start there, I want to also shout out this nice t-shirt gear that I got from great friends that I worked with, and we become really, really close. Me and my wife has come really, really close to them for years back in upstate New York, Elmira, New York. Shout out to my hometown, Elmira, New York. Sexton is the last name, Mike and Aaliyah Sexton. Thank you guys for designing the shirt. It is great, nice shirt here. So check them out on Facebook, Mike and Aaliyah Sexton. That's Sexton, and they have t-shirts and I believe so far t-shirts and hats. So you can download and hit them up there. I will send the link on that for you guys. So they got t-shirts and hats. So they just launched their clothing line, and the Mike and Leah Sexton. So shout out to them. Hit them up there. You can look them up. I'll have the link in the chat. I'll have the link on the show description on the show there. But let's get into these questions. So again, the NR Hour, Nathan Ramachandra from the NR Hour podcast sports show sent in a question here, WNBA related, and also Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning, mostly WNBA. But I'm going to answer NR Hour's question first. His question was thoughts on the expansion team in Toronto. So Toronto, they just launched. They had the official press conference of the Toronto team that's going to be coming into WNBA in 2026. So another expansion team. They just released and talked about the Golden State Valkyries, which their team will start the 2025 season next season. And now Toronto, they had a big press conference, and they announced it officially for the 2026 season. So my thoughts of that, I think it's great because it gives more players, more women players. It gives them more of an opportunity to be on a team because, as you know, there's only 12 teams in the WNBA. And that's 12 roster spots, 144 players. So, a lot of good players get cut and don't make the team when they get drafted. So the expansion gives more opportunities and more jobs for the talented women that are in the league that gets drafted, in the league that get cut. So I think it's great. And I think Toronto is a great city to have a team, to have an expansion team, because they played in it. They played last season, and they played their last season in a preseason game, exhibition game, and they were and it was like a packed crowd. Like it was, just fans just loved it, and the crowds were great. It was like over 19,000 people there. Shout out to my cousin Jay Harden. Thank you for always tuning in. That's my cousin, my brother. Always, it's family there. So he has a question. We'll get to that in a minute. But I just wanted to. I think it's wonderful. I think Toronto's a great city. I've been there a couple times when I was younger, but Toronto Raptors, they won a championship. And again, when they had the press conference just this past week to launch and to make it official, you just saw the excitement there. I think the prime minister was there, and commissioner of the WNBA was present and announced it, and the media. Kyle Lowry, former Toronto Raptor, he was there, and there was a lot of people at that press conference, and I just think it's great that they were able to launch the launch for the Toronto team that's going to represent in the WNBA. Again, like I said, I think it's benefits the players more than anything because there's more roster spots. We've been talking about expanding the league, and now you have two teams. And then the commissioner of the WNBA, she even said that she wants to have two more teams. I'm pushing for Philly, of course, because I live here. I've been living here for the last 11 years. I hope Philadelphia gets a team. Other teams that can I think is pushing for it. You got Orlando, I know Portland, Miami, I think Jacksonville. I think Charlotte, they talk about them wanting another team. They're, getting a team back there again. So expansion is great for the league. It's great for, for investing and like I said, more opportunities for women for this league. So there's more roster spots. So that's the main thing I think of expansion. And again, Toronto, great city, and then they said Golden State they started in 2024. So I think that's really good. I want to get into this question by my cousin. Why about Wyoming? What up? Yeah, why not? And there's the big shout out to Raphael Haynes himself, Mr. Controversy. He said, "What about Wyoming?" That's funny. Yeah, why not? Why not Wyoming? Why not? To me, so. By way answer this question: will the Wolves win this series? To me, no. I think Dallas up 2-0 in this series is and the way they've played in this series, the Mavericks up 2-0. And to come to find out, for the Wolves to win the series, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns has to play much better. I think I read a stat, they're combined 12 of 50 something from the field. Your two main stars has to play better. And they haven't produced in this series yet. And yes, Dallas won close games in both, but they closed it out. And now Anthony Edwards and Carlin Town, he even played the last 5 minutes of the game because of his strategy. He was 4 of 16 yesterday, something like that. And Anthony Edwards struggling with his jumper and shooting too many jump shots. And so their two main stars have struggled. And Luka, the last play of the game when he had Rudy Gobert on skates and he's dancing around trying to guard him. My man Damian Adams, shout out to him, the real deal Damian Adams, host of that show. He put up he had a good post where he said, should have even had Rudy Gobert out there and on defense and knew they was going to switch. And Luka was looking for that matchup all game. And Rudy Gobert, he doesn't have the athleticism to keep Luka in front of him. Luka is playing on a bad ankle, and still producing. Kyrie did his thing in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. I think he had 12 points in the fourth, hit big shots, and then Luka with just that big shot over Rudy Gobert to the game winner to end. And says here, new comment says, honestly, I think they can just fit the simple fact that they've been up the last two games by double digits. They just need to hold the lead. Yeah, I agree with that. I 100% agree. They've had the lead in both games and they've blown it. But I think it does come down to their two best players. Got to continue they got to make shots. They got to play better because you cannot win when your two best players are combined 12 of like 50 something from the field. You're not going to win. If Luka and Kyrie play well and they're not playing well, Karl Town, like I said, Karl Town, he wasn't even in foul trouble yesterday, and they just didn't play him because he was struggling from the field. He couldn't guard anybody. So yeah, it comes down to that. It comes down to those two factors. I agree. Double digits, you got to hold the lead because you know Dallas is going to make a comeback, and your two main stars got to play better. Now they've played well on the road. When they beat Denver, they definitely played well on the road. And when they beat Phoenix, swept Phoenix, and they beat Denver. They won Game 7 in Denver when Denver had a double-digit lead and blew it. So Minnesota is capable, but I just feel like now Dallas is on the verge of getting to the NBA Finals, and they're up 2-0. And I don't see Minnesota getting to in Dallas. I just don't see it. The way Luka and Kyrie are playing right now and the role players of Dallas, I don't see that. So another comment, Edwards is giving up too many shots. He needs to be more aggressive in the drive. Yes. Stop shooting jump shots. Get to the hole. They can't guard you. Just, be aggressive and get to the lane. And that was one of the questions that my man, speaking of Snowman Media, Brian Snow, checking in from Indiana. Appreciate you, man. Always got to get you on the show as well. We've been trying to connect. Got to talk some WNBA, and he had some great questions about that he sent in the WNBA. Too bad it's not the NBA World Championship Series. Exactly. Exactly. So, but he had a great question. I want to get to his question, and it kind of correlates with the in our hour sent and Nathan Ramachandra, what he sent in from earlier this week as well. The WNBA season so far. My man Brian Snow, he also had asked about why so many WNBA players are jealous of the attention that the Fever and the Caitlin Clark. That's been a big topic as well. And so I'm going to loop those in together, these questions. But the LeBron and Charles Barkley had made some comments and some statements saying that these women players need to stop hating on Caitlin Clark and the attention that she's getting. That's been a topic of discussion for this past year for what Caitlin Clark has done in college, becoming the all-time leading scorer. This is something, and I'm seeing it on Twitter. I don't think the players are per se hating, because I've seen a lot of, and I've been in, some of these Zoom conversations, been part of the media. I think it's the narrative and the stories of the people, the fans, I should say, asking of the hate. I think it's that group. I don't think it's the players per se. I think the players, kind of like what Diane Taurasi was saying, what just saying the rookies have to work to get to where they are. And I don't think there was any malicious intent on any of those comments. Now, the way they portrayed it, and I talked about this before, I think the way they said it and the way they portrayed it, you might think it's considered hate, but it's for the competitiveness. But they're not going to allow this rookie class, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson, they're not going to allow the rookies to just come in and dominate. It's a competitive league. And I think that's what a lot of the fans are forgetting, that it's competition. We're not going to just lay out the red carpet and you just come in and dominate. You got to earn it. You got to, and that's what it's about. Competition at the end of the day. Isn't that what it's about? Now, it's brought more attention, which has been great because of the movement of these rookies, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. I'm not going to just say Caitlin Clark. I'm talking Angel Reese. I'm talking Cameron Brink. I'm talking this whole rookie class is bringing a lot of attention to the WNBA and the viewership and the investment. So it's not hate towards Caitlin. It's not hate towards Angel, but they're, and it's the media. They're putting out some of this perspective, this narrative of it's just Caitlin Clark and it's just Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of things going around her. And the thing I really like, to answer the question, the thing I really love about what Caitlin has said or not said, she's not engaging in any of this. That's what I really love about the whole thing. That's what I really like about her. She just goes there and hoop. And at the end of the day, that's what it should be all about. It should be all about, you come in, you try to win, you try to make a name for yourself, and you come in and hoop, and you come in and ball. And I think that's what it's about. And that's what it should be about. All the other outside noise from fans and from media and all that, Caitlin's like, she's got tunnel vision. She's like, I'm not trying to hear any of that. Because she was asked this before the game last night against LA Sparks, and Indiana finally got their first win. They scrapped and fought until they got their first win. I feel like she's just like, look, I don't pay attention to social media. I don't pay attention to the outside noise. I'm trying to get a win. I'm trying to, get better at my craft, get better at being a professional. Because look, she comes in with all the hype and has a couple of bad games, because as like Diana Taurasi said, this is what it's about. It's about, and they praise her. The league itself, they have praised her. And they're just saying that it's going to take time. You got to make adjustments. And at the end of the day, I think that's what Caitlin's a baller, like everybody else. She's a baller. And it's just the media has, and fans have, there's a part of the fandom that has just put this narrative on that there's so much hate. And I don't necessarily agree with Barkley and LeBron saying what they have said. Is there hate? Yeah, there's players hate all the time. People hate on players all the time. But I don't agree at that they think the women are being petty and the women are being petty towards that. And at the end of the day, it's all about competition. It's all about what they saying that you're not going to come in here and just dominate and take this away from us. We're trying to win championship too. We're trying to make money and win championship too. So that's what it's all about. And another thing too, like I said, Caitlin, she's just hooping. She's just saying me and Aaliyah, her and Aaliyah Boston want to try to win games for Indiana. And I love that. I love that she's just not getting engaged in it and involved in it. And I know some in media, which I talk with, which I'm a part of, have said, well, Caitlin's and on Twitter, that's what it is. Twitter's such a toxic place sometimes too, social media in general. But some on Twitter have said, well, Caitlin should come out and say something because, Aaliyah Boston, she had to delete her I think it was her Twitter page. She deleted it because of the hate and vitriol against her from fans and people on social media. And Kayla should have came out, and people said, well, Kayla should have came out and defended her teammate and all this and that. We don't even know she did. She might have been in the background. She's just not in the forefront saying it. She doesn't want to engage in it, which I love that about it. She don't have to do anything. Just go in there and do your thing, get better at what you do, and that's what it is. Some comments here saying, my cousin Jay says, I don't think it's hate towards Clark, but what those girls are supposed to do. What are those girls supposed to do? Praise her every game? This is a competitive sport, like you said. Yes, they don't need to praise her each and every time or at all, or anything like that. It's competition. They're not making it easy. They're not going to make it easy. They're professional ballers. They're not going to make it easy. And I love that. Caitlin wouldn't want that. She wants to try to be competitive just as much as they do. So, yeah, they would have had more than one win. I believe they blew back-to-back games before this win. Yeah, Indiana's, they're scraping. They beat LA yesterday, and they were down double digits in that game. And then they just, the one thing they're gonna play hard. They're gonna be competitive. They're gonna continue to. So they're just Indiana's figuring it out. I think they had something like 22, 23 days of playing together, being together from training camp to preseason right into the season. Come on, and this WNBA season so far overall, I've been loving it. There's been so many great moments. Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky, Teaspoon. Shout out for Teaspoon, Teresa Weatherspoon, former Liberty, great. Now coaching the Chicago Sky, and Angel Reese went in there and gave the Liberty their first loss. The Chicago Sky gave the Liberty their first loss. So Angel Reese is hooping. I love what Cameron Brink's got. I think she's averaging almost 4 blocks a game in 4 games, in her first 4 games. Come on, man. This rookie class, it's not just Caitlin. It's a lot of good players in this league. And I'm loving that. I love the conversations. I love that, people are investing in the WNBA. I know I'm going along with this question, but it was 2 questions. But I'm so excited that, the people that know me, I'm a huge WNBA fan. Like I said, I've been in a lot of the Zoom, some of the Zoom meetings that they've links that they've given me, opportunities and to ask questions and things like that. So the conversation, and there's a lot of new fans, and I think that's another thing too. A lot of new fans have latched on to the wave of Caitlin Clark and things like that. So they're in there, and we welcome the new fans. I've been a fan for WNBA since the beginning, 1997. So I've been to Houston Comet games. I've been to Connecticut Sun games. My wife, her favorite player is Cheryl Swoops. I've said this story. We've seen them play. My favorite player of all time, my favorite player is Cynthia Cooper. So you could go back and from that, so you have the new fans who are Caitlin Clark fans, who are Angel Reese fans. We welcome you. Like I said, invest in women. I've always said invest in women's sports, invest in women in media, invest. And now that we're seeing it and it's exploding, WNBA, the viewership has been up, and it's great to see. You're gonna have that, and from Twitter, the Twitter feed and social media. You're going to have those, but it's all debate too. So I just think it gets too far, And so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm loving the seeing how competitive this league, the WNBA, and how the growth continues. So I love seeing it. So that I hope that answers you guys' questions on that, the season itself. But I'm going to get into a little. Got a couple questions about the NBA. Kind of touched on um, Minnesota and Dallas, that series. You got the other series on the other side. Someone asked about did Indiana have a chance against Boston? I don't think so. I think this series is just about over. The Celtics are up 2-0. I mean, Jaylen Brown scoring 40 in game two and just hooping, and Jason Tatum. And Boston just has a lot of, and they're doing this without Porzingis, which we have to keep in mind with that. Indiana, great run. Now Halliburton I think he's questionable heading into game three with his hamstring. That's the same hamstring that he injured during the season. So he tweaked it again. So I don't know if he's going to play or not. It's not looking good. And Indiana's going to need him because he controls the pace of what they do. So they go back to Indiana for game 3 and 4. But I think Boston wins this at least in 5. I think Boston's just too much. They got too much. Tatum and Brown is just too much. And yeah, it could be a sweep or 5. Gentleman sweep could be 5. The gentleman sweep 5. But I think Indiana might get 1, maybe, but without Halliburton, they might get swept. So I like Boston at least at 4 or 5 in that series as well. Also, I want to touch on another question that came in. They talk about the inside the NBA and the TNT crew, which has been a big the NBA rights deal is coming up, and the story of NBC could get this to get the rights to the NBA back to the NBC. NBC used to have it back in the day in the 80s and 90s. Everybody remembers that theme song, man. NBA on NBC. Oh man, loved it. But TNT has had it for so long, and now it's possible they could be losing the NBA. I want to read this. They're in negotiations because you got ESPN, NBC, and Amazon could get would be the networks that will be having the NBA after this season. So ESPN would get they're still in negotiations stuff, but according to network sources and various reports, Andrew Marchand of the Athletic and the Wall Street Journal and Sports Business Journal says ESPN will get the A package, which they have now. They get NBA Finals. They continue to broadcast the NBA Finals and the playoffs. So yes, that's Disney, ESPN. NBC would get the B package, which would include NBA playoffs and other conference finals. It would also feature a Sunday night basketball night in America spotlight after the NFL season ends, and primetime games during the week. And then also Amazon, which the NBA is now going to streaming, which I think is huge and is much needed because you got the NFL that's been streaming. NFL's on Amazon. NFL's been on Peacock, and they had a playoff game on Peacock. So that's where a lot of media deals and media rights are going to streaming. So the NBA wants a piece of that with Amazon. You got to say the NFL's on Amazon, and now they're going to be airing games on Netflix, which another giant pioneer in streaming, getting into the NFL. They're going to be streaming games, NFL games on Christmas. So you got the Netflix. So Amazon wants a piece of that. They'll get the C package and stream games on Prime Video. That would also include the in-season tournament and some first-round playoff games. So if NBC is able to, and the reports are saying 2.6 billion a year. That's a billion with a B, billion a year. So that would be the first time. So if the NBA leaves TNT, which has Warner Brothers TNT, which has televised NBA games since 1989, they would be the odd network out, and it would be a shame because us as NBA fans, basketball fans, love Inside the NBA. It's the arguably, if not the best studio show in history. It's the sports studio show in history. College Game Day would have an argument. I think that's they're the only, to me, the only studio show that would have a legit argument against inside the NBA. I mean, with Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, Shaq, just love the chemistry, the banter. They're the best, and TNT loses this because it would be a shame. It would be a shame, but money talks. Money talk. Now they not to get technical. They can match a deal, whatever NBC is going to offer. Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Discovery can match the deal, but I mean, 2.6 billion is, and then if they break that up, it'll be after the 2025. So it'll be after next season, after all those years. And I can see Ernie Johnson staying because he's been with the TNT Turner family for a long time, and where his dad was also there. So I don't see him leaving, but they break that up. Barkley, he would be the biggest media free agent. He would leave. He even said morale around now stinks. He said sucks, and he said it's just they know what's going on. And he signed. He's always been talking about retiring, but he would land on ESPN, NBC, and Amazon in a heartbeat. Shaq and Kenny, same thing. Probably would go somewhere. They might even go together, all three of them. But I don't see Ernie leaving, and it would be a shame that group breaks up, and because of negotiations, and we know how this business goes. But I guess all good things come to an end. That's the saying, and and the interesting thing is the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav, had said during the 2022 investor meeting conference, he commented on that was not that we don't have to have the NBA. That's what he said. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. They bring you a lot of viewership. NBA inside the NBA. So you say that now it doesn't look good for business that you said that, and it's not been well received at all. And now you about to find out if you don't get the NBA. So you saying that with your, being arrogant with your chest out. Now you're saying that is ridiculous. So yeah, so great questions. Great questions. I'm enjoying it. So I got a couple more. Like I said, I'm not gonna keep you too much longer. Already been 30 minutes. Thank you again for all the questions. You got any more questions? Bring them in. Instagram, got any questions? Bring them on. And even in the chat for Facebook and YouTube as well. But I got to get to some NFL questions that was sent in earlier this week. It's never too early. It's never too early to talk upcoming NFL season at all. I think they're in their mini camps now, voluntary camps here all across. So you got voluntary mini camps, as he said, voluntary. Just want to make sure that people get all up in arms when players don't show up for the voluntary camps. But my man Chris Allen, shout out to him, fantasy analyst and content coordinator of the Matthew Berry Fantasy Life, also organizer of a group that I'm in on Twitter, the Cookout Group, as well. I met my man Chris Allen at the Fantasy Football Expo. Like I've said this before. If you got a chance to go, if you're a big fantasy football, not even fantasy football, but if you learn like football or anything like that, I highly recommend, if you can make it, to go to the Fantasy Football Expo, because it brings everybody there that's into fantasy football, experts. If you're just a fan of fantasy football, if you play fantasy football, they have seminars, they have the expo itself where you can engage, you can listen to experts. They have live drafts, they have parties, things like that. I was just there last year. It's in Canton, Ohio. It's at the Hall of Fame. You could go and tour the Hall of Fame. It's like to me, the Canton Hall of Fame is like the Canton Hall of Fame is like a campus, like a big college campus. You can go there. You can go shopping at the Hall of Fame store. It's great. It's a great time. I'm not going there this year, but I went last year for the first time. Like I said, they have a lot of different things, roundtable discussions. They do a little bit of everything there. So if you get an opportunity to go, it's in August. and you get opportunity to go, like say, get to the, you can go, even if you just go to for the Hall of Fame, you go to the store, you go to the museum, you do all those things. And they have, like I said, they have parties, they got conferences, they have the expo, a little bit of everything there. So get a chance to go there. And I met Chris there. We just linked up, and I'm very, very excited. He might be coming on the show in a couple of weeks. So look out for that again. Matthew Berry, Fantasy Life, fantasy analyst and content coordinator there. But he asked a lot of great questions that he had. And he said one of the questions that he asked about any team that didn't make the playoffs, that did make the playoffs last year in the NFL, has a shot to get in this year. I think the best answer for this, I really believe, is the New York Jets, who didn't make it last year. Now, the New York Jets, they were built and were projected to make the playoffs until Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles, and that was their season right there. They invested so much in Aaron Rodgers, but I think if healthy, I think that's the answer to that question. I believe is what team made the playoffs. That who did make the playoffs has a shot to make. I think that's the answer. Is the New York Jets could make the playoffs. I also think the Atlanta Falcons could make the playoffs this year. Getting Kirk Cousins was if he's healthy, another older quarterback's got to stay healthy. Getting him at QB, they got a really good shot to make the playoffs in that NFC South division. And with Tampa Bay, I think the Carolina Panthers, they'll be improved, but not as much as well. Tampa Bay made the playoffs last year. Can they get back with Baker Mayfield? Could they get back there? Possibly. But I think Atlanta, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, could lead them to the playoffs with the talent they have on offense. I think it's Atlanta. So that's the team. Now, another question he asked: what team that made the playoffs won't make it back this year? I think it's the Cleveland Browns. Sorry, Cleveland. I think you guys might not, and then it all depends if Deshaun Watson is healthy. If Deshaun Watson's healthy, possibility. He didn't really have a great year, and then he got hurt. He got injured, and they still made the playoffs. I mean, great defense. Their defense definitely got them to the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to got them to the playoffs. I think it's going to be really hard for them to get back to the playoffs. So I think the Cleveland Browns, with that, another quarterback's got to stay healthy, because if you think about it, the Cincinnati Bengals didn't make it, and you telling me that a healthy Joe Burrow is not going to lead that team to the playoffs? Yeah, so Cincinnati, I think, will make the playoff. We don't know about Pittsburgh, because we're getting Russell Wilson on that squad, getting him back, getting him in Pittsburgh. He might have one more good year, change the scenery, playing with Mike Tomlin. Can we see them making the playoffs? Yes, we could. Baltimore, they're the top. I think they're the top of the AFC with the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, Joe Burrow coming back could win the division in Cincinnati. So for Cleveland to make the playoffs, that's going to be tough. And that division's always strong. So I think Cleveland they took the spot from Cincy. But if Burrow's healthy, they make the playoffs. So I can see them. They're again another team. Yes, team that didn't make the playoffs has a shot to get in. Oh yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, got to put them in there too. So I think those are the two teams. Those are the teams that can make the playoffs, that didn't make it, and then a team I think that can make the playoffs will make it, or that made the playoffs that didn't make it. I think it's the Cleveland Browns. Was that so? All right, I think I got through all the questions. If anybody has any more, hit me up on Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning in on Instagram. My man CJD Sports on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Big Baby Jonathan also on Instagram Live, and my homegirl Miss Mocha Bella, always a great supporter of the Real Deal and the BS3 Network. Thank you for always tuning in, always sharing the content. I can't thank you guys enough. Again, that's a wrap for the show, unless you guys have any other questions. But I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the questions as well. like I said, my brother, my fam, Jay. Thank you for tuning in. Snowman in the Morning, Brian Snow of the Snowman in the Morning podcast network. Really appreciate it. Mr. Controversy himself, Raphael Haynes of the 3-point conversion. Thank you for the questions as well. Thank you everyone that tuned in on YouTube and Facebook and the Roku channel. Again, thank you. That's a wrap for the show then. And for the Q&A segment, I do this a couple times a year, so it was only right I did it today. I was very, very excited to answer the viewers and fans questions. So, but I hope everyone enjoys their Memorial Day weekend. It's always good to get with family, barbecuing, cookouts. Like I said, I'm taking it low key. Might just go out to dinner tomorrow and just chill and rest. I love doing that. It's hot out here in Philly today, almost close to 90. So yeah, I'm gonna stay cool today, stay in the house and chill, watch a little TV, watch the game 3 of Boston, Indiana, and watch some WNBA. I think the Aces and the Fever, I think it's today too, I believe. So get ready for that. But always, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you for always following, supporting, sharing, liking, all those things. I really, really, really appreciate it. And until next time, enjoy the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Always, until next time, peace. God bless.